When we go to start writing, we'll often have these kind of grand ideas about how we'd like it to be or how we'd like it to go, and we'll talk about it and like, oh, we should do this or we should do that, and then that just never goes. It just never goes the way, it. I think with music, I think the best way to go about it is to just let it take you where it wants to go. At least in my experience, more often than not, the more you try and force something to go some way, the more it just kind of stops progress. And a lot of times when you just let it go and take you where it wants, you often find that it's so much better and so much more rewarding. And even like with an album like The Blackening, the first 4 songs that we wrote were the 4 shortest song on the record. There was no indication anywhere that we would suddenly start writing 10, 11-minute long songs, and then just somewhere along the way that happened, and we did, and we just kind of went with it, and we'd never done it, and it was, in some ways it was a little scary, but I think that fear, that scariness is one of the most important things that you have to face when you're writing music, and to just go past that and just be fearless and go out there and just do your thing and own it. And I feel like that's what we really did on this record, and just going in, we really knew what we wanted, we really knew how we wanted it to sound, and had a really strong vision.
With this now we die.
The first track that we wrote was Beneath the Silt, at least the music for it. I wrote it, I want to say I was on tour. Maybe I might have been on tour. I think I was on tour, I was on tour in Europe, I think, because I showed it to Phil in a hotel in Europe somewhere. And, that was just kind of the music. The first song that came together was Killers and Kings. And we had riffs and stuff, but everything kind of just gelled and became a finished song with a vocal and a hook and everything. And it was a really stupid chorus back then when it first was done. But then eventually I came up with something solid. Those are just, it just kind of starts coming together. And, again, you just let it go where it takes you. I think Keith Richards said to just let yourself be a vessel. And I think that's probably the most important thing to remember, is to just let it go through you.
Are you ready to die?
It's just new Machine Head. It's just, we don't try and make the same record twice. We always try and go someplace different, and I think that we're still doing that. I always love the bands that, one of my favorite bands is The Cure, and The Cure made huge leaps and bounds in their evolution throughout their whole career, and to where they got to Disintegration, and they just, they started off as almost like a punk rock band, and then by the time they got to Disintegration, it was these epic, vast, Grand Canyon-sized songs, and I love that. I love that they evolved. I love that they continued to move forward, and even now, to a large degree, continue to move forward. And I think that, and I think our fans are at a place where we can pretty much do whatever we want to, and they're ready for it. It's like some bands really get kind of locked into a way of doing things, and they, in my opinion, sometimes can back themselves into a corner. And we've always been, I don't know, maybe it's just some survivalist thing in my head, but I've never wanted to do that. I've never wanted to be backed into a corner about where we could go musically. And I feel like we've made, whenever we did, we kind of made a huge step forward just to break out of that, and it has allowed us to really, in the long run, it allowed us to create and I don't think anything we're gonna do is really gonna surprise our fans, which is awesome. It's an awesome place to be in.
They